Ron Howard, ask everybody to write them in. And then we'll take somebody to a floor, and then people will have to write those in. So there's 5 spots. Yes, ma'am.
Start right behind me. We'll start right behind. This is the check-in list to start. It's by last name. And then just whatever you want. It shows your attendance at the meeting. Finally got coffee.
I guess she just gave me another pack of cola.
By your last name. Oh, no, but I thought better to flip over the names than where you're signing. Otherwise, it makes yeah, and I can take actually take them out.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'll let Wes sign in.
Okay.
Clear as mud.
Yeah, so give me that back. That's what you're going
Yeah, you're actually on the list. Well, it's on this. You don't get Is it in my back seat?
Pardon? Well, I don't agree with that, and that'll probably be discussed, but for now it is what it is, because there is no. When we get to the nomination part, we will. But I'm sure it's going to end up being discussed during the proposal. You want to go live? I actually didn't bring that. Plenty of paper, but nothing scrapped.
Well, you know what? The left,
Actually, no, I do. You can have that.
I was gonna say, the back side of the agenda.
Looks like you got a huge harvest. Looks like you got a huge harvest. Oh, it looks pretty big.
I'll just find this.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, she has the best. Mine is only half the size, and it's like that.
I did have myself all together.
I just got a bunch of POD.
I saw that.
Usually have about 3.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6:30. Let's get started.
Before we start, though,
Yes.
there is cookies and candy over here. There's water over here. Just so everybody knows we're here, all the community, we're a neighborhood. We expect this to be an open conversation, it's civil, or you will be asked to leave. As long as everybody agrees on that, we're good.
All right.
You need to
She's
A few more people
still-
coming and she needs to finish taking her roll. Christine, are you passing out the agenda as well, or you already did that?
No, I haven't.
I'll do that. You want? Amy, do you have one?
I have one of those, not the finance.
Oh, that's true, I did that.
Thanks.
Go on.
Do you want me to help you pass it out?
I'm gonna just give it and have them pass it down. Financial report. I already gave you guys the agenda. We're gonna pass the agenda, the financial report around, you can take one for family. Financial report. This is extra, so we can head on it. We'll make sure it comes back. This is not enough, we'll come back.
He's not. Actually, I think his levels are pretty good today. I think his levels are pretty good today.
I started with rice.
Christina,
Everybody over here
they
get
just
the
arrived.
agenda?
Did you need to get that? These are the neighbors behind you, I believe.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Do they need that?
Yes, they will need to.
You're just saying you yourself. No, the top signature just put it to our.
Everybody over here get financial as well?
Sorry.
Did you guys do one? Okay. Everybody get a financial report and okay.
Oh, yeah.
Pardon? Did you, oh, you got one more for them? Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Now, because I just saw them.
Thank
I
you.
probably should make sure I have one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself.
Yeah.
This way, we'll move this out of the way, and you can go right over to the other side.
Did you officially call to order or you started to call to
Move
order?
this for a minute.
Well, I said we're calling to order, so we're just kind of
Did
waiting
it
now.
6:30? We'll consider it 6:30.
Okay, well,
I'll just ask Christine to make notes that we were completing, we passing out of agendas and roll call. It's always the longest piece. The stragglers come in. I guess in the future, maybe we say, show up at 6:30, we start at 6:45, or 15 minutes after, so we have time to do that.
or show up at 6:20, start at 6:30.
Whichever, there's,
Civilians.
everybody will always trickle in, only 5 after. Definitely have a coin. Yeah, the chili. Better than Elsa.
Hey Wes, why aren't your garage doors that quiet?
That's pretty quiet. I don't know louder than that. Roll call vote. So if you want to know, so Amy did officially call to order at 6:30.
Oh. We just,
And then we just need to write that we had time to finish agendas, this, and roll call.
okay.
Oh, I guess I need to do it too. Then.
Oh, yeah.
Do I need to sign two proxy as well?
No.
Okay. All right, Amy called to order at 6:30, but we continued to do the agenda and finance pass outs and roll calls, so that takes care of 1A. Anybody concerned with proof of notice of meeting? Everybody got the letter in the mail? Okay. And then, Christine, did you bring the availability of the roster?
Did I bring the what?
The roster, just so it's available?
Yeah, I have about 15 copies.
Right. We're required to have a roster on hand with name, physical address, and voting rights, so if you need that copy of that, Christina has that. Okay. I'd like to do self-introductions, so we'll start with the board members. Go from left to right, I guess, here,
Or right to left.
or right to left, whichever, doesn't matter. Middle,
I'm Roxanne Smith. I've been on the board this past year. I am retired from primarily a career in administration and savings and loan associations and volunteer work with the Salvation Army. Other than that, I'm just still an active mom and grandma.
Darren Beatty, I'm over on Rockledge. Have two jobs, not retired. Been on the board for 2.5 years.
Amy Widener, I've been on the board for 2 years. I am retired Army and now I'm a farmer.
I'm Phyllis Cagle. I've been on the board this year. I was a stay-at-home mom, but now I'm working as a para-instructor at my daughter's school.
Nothing else to do? No.
Yeah, like I don't have anything else to do.
I'm Christina Forst. I'm your property manager, and I've been managing you for about 14 years.
And then we did have Gail on the board, but she resigned a couple months ago. And we'd like to do membership introductions. So we have new people who've been around for a while. If everybody can introduce themselves, starting right over there.
I'm Brian Hosting-Loy. I live at 1288 Silver Sage, and I am still working, not retired. And I basically am in computers and artificial intelligence, robotics, things like that.
Whoever. No,
One house, right?
you can go back one. And
I'm Frank Christman, this is my wife Jennifer. We're the ones on the corner building the new house, so we're almost there.
welcome.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
That's good.
I'm enjoying every minute.
You are your own contractor, right?
Yeah,
Well, you're building it, like,
I
that
am.
sounded like you were the hammer swinger too.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the above.
All the above. It was my last big project.
We cheer you on.
I'm enjoying it. It's a beautiful area out here. I'm in heaven. I really am.
Awesome.
Everybody's staring at me. I'm Ron Howard. I was told the only Ron Howard in Canyon County, like me. My wife Eunice staring at me. And we moved here full-time November last year, so we made it a year. We love it. We're 2 houses down, the only kind of Victorian-looking country home there. I'm a contractor, general contractor, electrical, sign and lighting contractor out of California for 32 years. Typically did in-store remodels, commercial remodels, things like that. And I've also been in property for the last 15 years, so I'm a licensed realtor in California, and I'm with Boise Premier here. Kind of a, not retired, but half retired, don't know what I want to do thing, but I'm having a good time.
What do you do, Luz? Oh, whatever comes up.
Todd Deck. I'm next to Frank. Been here about 5 years now, working in aviation.
I'm Judy Morda, and I live right on the corner in the ugly greenhouse. And I've been here 4 years. I'm a retired advanced EMT, and now I'm a full-time mom and grandma. My son was in a horrible motorcycle accident right down here on Lake Shore, and so he can't walk, and so I take care of him full-time.
We're dealing with Captain Smith. We have a 12799 Silver Sage. I've been in law enforcement for 42 years, and I'm semi-retired. She's a retired RN. That's it.
I'm Christine and Ray I, and we live at the house there with the big logs, with the 2 horses. We're both retired and worked for a water district before we moved here. We've been here about 3 years.
I'm Ed Kokenauer. I've been here for
Almost 2.
2 years, next week, I believe. In the auto racing business, been in consumer electronics, professional musician, and pretty much a troublemaker other than that. My wife, Tara, she's an esthetician, has been in business for many years, kind of on hiatus now until we get a couple things taken care of, and it's great to be here in this lovely neighborhood. We live on the corner of Anacate and
I'm Greg Schreiber. I've been out here for 14 years, and I am retired and totally enjoying it. And just remember to salute the flag when you drive by our house.
Brian Bicklin here, 6 months now. I live in Steve Strick's old house. Retired landscape contractor, concrete contractor.
Johnny Romani. We've been here since July of this year. The new White House that's right there. I'm retired from California State University Fullerton, property operations manager. And also manage apartments. And my wife Gina, she works for HealthNet.
I still work. I'm not retired. And we have 3 kids between the 2 of us and 3 granddaughters.
Wes Widener, I'm hers, live right here across the street, retired Army, proxy farmer now.
Mark and Kathy Smith, we live up on the top, on the corner of Featherstone, that greenhouse, so stop by and say hi. We're retired.
I'm Belinda Highway. My husband's not here, Guy. We live just right over here with the 2 mules. You may have heard them. I run a consulting company for credit unions where I help them with their strategy and
with Ron, there you go. I'm Lisa Ryden, I guess last. We've been here just about 2 years. I had 30 years in healthcare. I'm retired to be a full-time caregiver for my 82-year-old mother and my special needs son. So that's pretty much what I do, and then I'm volunteering at nonprofits and the rest of the time, which is very little.
I skipped the O'Hares.
Oh.
We're the O'Hare, speaking on O'Hare, this is our house, and we're not retired.
Not yet. Not at all.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Can I request that everybody talks just a little louder, because it's really hard for me to.
Okay. All right. We do have, for the bylaws, reading or provision of last annual meeting minutes. I don't know if anybody wants to hear the reading of the minutes from last year.
I motion we skip reading the minutes.
Okay,
Do we have them present?
yes. Does anyone want to second the motion to not read the minutes from the last annual meeting? Okay, we will skip that. Reports, director reports. Does anybody on the board here have a direct report?
I do.
Okay,
Do you? Anybody else?
I may.
Okay. So let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? Smear campaign. This is a decade-old information that was brought out by someone in our community to smear me so that I don't get reelected. Why? Well, the reason why is because for this entire year, I've been stopping the board of directors from violating laws. So let's go back a little bit. So 2 years ago, I was elected to the board of directors, and after I was elected, I asked that we have the board meetings at my shop. That way I could be protected from the stalking and sexual harassing that had happened in this community for many, many, many years. That was fine and dandy. Everybody was good with that. The one person that was doing the stalking and the sexually harassing said that he would not attend meetings at my shop. So fast forward a little bit. This year, starting in April, I informed the board of directors and the ACC that they were violating laws, and that's pretty much when the attacking started. And then in July, when I presented more laws that the board of directors was violating, it became defamation, interference, coercion, threats to hang out my dirty laundry from the board of directors. So that was the first attempt at trying to get me to resign off the board. It didn't work. So then what the board of directors started doing was demanding that we not have the meetings in my property, not having the annual meeting on my property, so that the one person in this community that commits sexual harassment against me would attend. That pretty much puts me in a dangerous position, and I don't appreciate that. So that was the second attempt at trying to get me to resign from the board. That didn't work. So Darren Beatty sent out an email on 21 September with slander. The whole email was a bunch of lies, and we can get into that when we start going with the amendments.
Please read it out loud to everybody, please.
Which?
My email that went through Christina for her request to clarify the proposals and where they came from.
All right. So there were 9 people involved in writing the amendments. Darren said that it was...
Hold on. No, I need to interrupt. So first of all, when you had sent all the proposals to Christina to send out, not once in any of those proposals did you claim who wrote the proposals, where they were from, that there was 9 people involved, or even who the involvement people were.
And?
So my response for Christina's request on who did it was, or who provided the proposals, was to say who provided the proposals, where it did not come from and where it did come from.
Okay,
So
did you ask?
Did
you ask me?
Did you put it in the emails to everybody?
Where do I have to do that?
Where
So
did-
we're going to stop right here. we're gonna stop right here. Hey, okay, I'm gonna finish my director's report. In the report is going to be the information presented. 9 people were involved in writing the amendments. Darren sent out an email saying that it was my own personal views, which was a lie.
Go ahead and read it.
In the email, everybody has received this email. Stop interrupting. Thank you. So I will give you a copy of that. So Darren sent this email on September 21 at 6:31 p.m. At 6:51 p.m., the board of directors, along with Christina, received an email from Doug Perry, who Darren knows to be a stalker and a sexual harasser.
I do not.
And you absolutely knew that.
I
Stop
do
interrupting.
not know that.
Stop
You're
interrupting.
making accusations that you.
Can
So-
you please
I
push
did
that
not
gavel
receive
over?
any
Okay,
such
so-
email.
Doug Perry told the board of directors that he was going to do nefarious things. The board of directors knew this was coming. They knew that this was going to happen. And then my husband believes that Doug Perry sent this letter to everybody. I have a different theory. I think Doug Perry worked with somebody else because Kim Yanechko doesn't live here. She got one of these letters. There's one person on this board of directors that knows that she's my friend. And so I believe after this email from Doug Perry being sent to the board of directors, basically saying that I'm going to be sexually harassed again, stalked again, that was incited by Darren Beatty with his email, his slanderous email, that this was going to happen. So one of the board members assisted with this. This is pure, just seriously, who thinks that this is appropriate to send out to their neighbors?
I don't.
ignored it because it came anonymously and I don't know you, so I ignored it. I didn't take it as a fact, and I think probably most people didn't either.
I would
Question?
hope that.
I don't agree it's appropriate. You asked, I don't agree it's appropriate. It
Thank
did not
you.
come from me. It did not come with my help either. I knew nothing about it until I received it after your text, which I'll announce to everybody as well that you sent.
This is a private
Dear-
matter, it seems.
I agree,
Did-
but if she's gonna bring it up, I'm gonna defend
How is
myself.
this a private matter? Hey, stop. Everybody received this. It's not a private matter anymore. This right here was incited by Darren's email, proof because 20 minutes after his email, Doug Perry emailed the board.
Well, I've never
telling
seen
them.
that email, ever.
It's on the
Never gotten any email from him.
What is
It was
that?
a Foothill Ranch Board of Directors email to the Foothill Ranch Board of Directors as well as Christina Forst. And then Christina forwarded it with another email saying that Connie wants to volunteer for the nomination committee. So this was attached and forwarded to every single person because it has it right there on the Foothill Ranch Board of Directors. They all have access to this. So if Roxanne and Phyllis did
This
not,
is not pertinent to the subdivision as a whole, this is a personal issue, and I
This-
move we move on.
this was,
Okay.
this was a smear campaign to keep me from being on the
Okay, well, it
board.
didn't work, so we'll all vote, it didn't work, we've heard you, we understand what you're saying.
But this needed to be addressed. This was an elephant in the room. This is something that doesn't need to be.
Making the big deal about it.
We disregarded it, absolutely.
Let's move on.
Okay, so,
I did too. It's all heard.
so there was a request for an investigation 6 months ago. I don't trust the board of directors at this point to complete the investigation. The investigation was for the destruction of corporate documents. I will pass this information on to the next board of directors, and if they decide to take it forward, they can and do the investigation.
So there's another accusation of
Destruction, the destruction of corporate documents happened. Next on the list
What
was
destruction of what
the,
corporate document if you're gonna?
I will pass it on to the next board because you guys haven't
why
done
bring
it.
it up?
6 months ago.
You're gonna bring
So
it up,
that-
tell us what it's about. Yeah.
It's about the destruction of corporate documents.
What document?
So, corporate documents that were received from the ACC that were destroyed out of the email and hidden. It was a concealment of the existence of the documents.
Well, that's
So
interesting.
that's going to move forward to the next
You just deleted an
board.
email out of the FHR, you were Wes, and also took it out of trash just a couple nights ago.
It was an email I had sent to myself.
It was.
So
And yet you still used
I
the
forwarded it.
FHR, forwarded it to yourself, deleted it and took it out of trash, but I have it, so it's okay.
That's all right, I can forward it to you.
I'm,
So the next part-
I third that we move away from all of this, but if she's gonna continue making accusations against me, the board, and everybody else, then we need to be able to defend ourselves.
I'm gonna take them as much as I take the letter that I got about her, what she's saying about you, because it's none of my business and it's not, I have nothing to prove anything. And frankly, I don't care. I wanna talk about our business here.
Roger that. There was a request to change the venue, so that needs to,
So
was
you're
that in
continuing.
the,
This is another accusation, okay.
no, the venue is in new business, so that is being moved to that. It's just my notes. Belinda's appeal was removed from the agenda. That's now 3 months that she's not being able to do.
All the ACC stuff, the appeal for Belinda needs to be part of a regular board meeting. That can be open, but it's not an annual meeting topic. And those are agenda items that you've had in the last 2 regular board meetings that you moved to the annual meeting. So I sent out an email to the entire board, which you were on this morning, requesting that we modify the agenda and the reasons to remove those, and everybody agreed. So if you want to bring that up.
Not
okay.
everybody agreed.
Well, you actually didn't say you didn't agree. You said you had to go do some errands and you would read it later.
I would, and I didn't agree to that. So I didn't agree to that.
Well, 3 out of 4.
And that's fine. So, what was the next on the list? And I believe that was all I had for my director's report.
So just a clarification, you have a motion on the floor and a second to move forward past this topic. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
So I won't go into any detail. I won't give everything, but if anybody wants to come talk to me, please come talk to me about her accusations. I have all the records. I have emails from Amy and Wes accusing me of harassment, accusing me of participating in sexual harassment. None of that's true. They're texting me. They're both harassing me with their texts, calling me evil, saying that you encourage this evil and you'll be judged no matter how often you go to church. And that's before I even received that letter. I put a question mark. She didn't answer it. I won't go into all the things that they sent me, but the accusations are false. I knew nothing about sexual harassment.
It's really uncomfortable, I have to.
I'm sorry, I'm saying I knew nothing about sexual harassment from Doug Perry, none of that. I don't know any, what are you showing me?
I don't think that
You're lying.
It doesn't.
You're
What are you showing
lying.
me?
Your email, you're lying.
What email?
Okay, you know what? We're gonna stop.
Okay.
Let's move on.
We have to.
Okay,
If
I'm good.
anybody wants to ask us personally about.
Please
this
come see me.
situation, Please come see us. Let's move on.
Can I ask a clarifying question? And yes, I agree to move on. We've all received these emails back and forth about attorneys and rewriting CCRs and, and then discussions here that you broke a law, you broke a law. Who's paying for these attorney fees? Is it us?
All of us.
Okay, and out of what budget? I mean,
So-
because I don't really.
So let me clarify,
Please
because we're
do.
gonna get to the financial report
Sorry.
as well, but the reality is, the attorney that the majority of the board has contracted with at this point has been paid $500, and that's it. And we're in the process of trying to just get clarification, that's all the money has gone to try to do.
Well, I'm gonna speak for probably my family, I don't know if anyone agrees, but I think we all need to have input and stewardship into our monies for attorney fees and versus, if it's bickering or if there's bigger issues like laws being broken. And I don't know, I'm just now hearing this, but I would like to have more information on that and more transparency on meetings going forward about what costs we're incurring legally, especially if there's disagreement among the board. That's just my 2 cents.
I'd like to specifically know if there's a statute that's going to be noted here or something, but quite honestly, it seems like there's some more bigger things constructive, so.
I agree.
Regarding attorney fees, as long as there's a legal precedent that we are looking at, or there's something going on, I think it certainly deserves attention. Other than that, this infighting and bickering, why would we spend anything on that? It's my 2 cents.
The majority of attorney fees, I don't know how many years, originally was what, Christina, was something against the well, right? And the last 3 sets of attorney fees until we as a board agreed to hire an attorney to clarify a lot of the things that Amy was referencing with law and different things, was the most recent. But everything in between, which is the majority, have been lawsuits and actions by the Wideners.
That's a lie.
It is not a lie. It's all in writing.
It
It's
is
all proven.
that is a lie.
Okay. You guys have been reimbursed twice for things between you and the board.
Okay,
The-
let's move on, let us know. You board handle it.
Okay, I agree. And that was actually what I wrote in my email today was, this stuff shouldn't have been talked about. It needs to be put to the next board of directors. So, but I guess that didn't work. ACC Report Committee, there's only one person left on the ACC, that's Jennifer. Anything to report? Okay then. Moving on. Thank you. Actually, if anybody wants to volunteer for the ACC, please send that to the FHO board email. And the next regular board meeting, they can look at those because the board appoints ACC members. They can review those and they can appoint board of the ACC at that time. That wouldn't be something we do here. Well Water Committee, Mark and Ray. First, thank you so much, so much. You guys spent hours and hours and hours and hours.
A lot
It was
of
a busy
time.
year.
This summer. You guys camped out there. I should have brought you a tent. So, but a lot of
Kept the
work.
water flowing though.
You guys kept the water flowing.
Gotta keep them weeds growing.
And thank you to everybody that, right?
That's so
Thank you to
true.
everybody that allowed for temporary adjustments while we were trying to figure that out, because we couldn't keep up with the flow while they were trying to work on things. So,
Yeah, it was entertaining.
but report from Ray and Mark, please.
Yes, what happened this year was we had our drive unit kind of ate itself up and burned itself up, pretty much, literally. So we were without that, and of course, with all this stuff going on this past years, to try and find one took about, 3-4 weeks, and they finally found it down in New Mexico. And they got it up, and once they get it installed is one thing, but setting it up is pretty complicated when we're in irrigation season, that sort of thing. So pumps coming on, going off, the right pressures, and it's just kind of complicated. But we finally got it all worked out. Took a couple months, and everything got back to normal on that end of it. But we still have some projects pending that we need to get done. And we would like to, we still got to do a roof repair. After the roof repair, we've got to redo the drywall inside the well building. Then upcoming projects for 2023 is we need to install some tank sensors in there to automatically shut down the pumps before they get down to 2 stage. Well, right now we're on the cutting edge. We don't want to lose another pump. But as far as that goes, that is our report for the season.
Do you have anybody lined up to do it?
I can't get anybody to show up. I called a couple to get out, and we got a metal roof, and it's leaking where we have a big opening where we have to pull that out if we have to pull the well out. So it's somewhere around there. We're gonna go up on the roof again tomorrow to see if we can find it and maybe put some caulking on it, kind of a temporary thing, but we need to get somebody up there, get it permanently repaired. If you know somebody, any volunteers? But also with the drywall, we can't do anything with that because it leaks into the building, and we got like about 16 inches up. It's just so.
The roof for the building.
Yeah. And we're also looking to take on a couple more folks that would like to help with the water situation, get involved a little bit and learn the system. because, kept Mark and I pretty close to the building all summer, at least half of it, going up there 3 to 4 times a day to make sure things were, moving right.
Yep.
So.
Well, we thank you.
That's a huge job.
Can I ask a question? Kim, you're our guest, right? Are you gonna speak on like the fire issues and the water? Is that part of the agenda today, or you're just?
I absolutely, I was gonna speak on something else, but it's clear that it's not an issue that's gonna be discussed, which is fine. But I can speak a little bit to it at the end under new business.
Okay, I just had a question.
Actually, I
about
don't
are
think
we
it
in
can do,
compliance
she can
with
do
fire,
that.
Yes.
safety?
Because it's,
I didn't even know she was gonna be here, she's not on the agenda.
no.
Did a
So,
fire flow test.
so Kim's not on the agenda, so Kim cannot speak during the meeting.
I didn't know Kim was gonna be here.
Sorry. You can't, you're just here to, all right.
Thank you for answering the question. Thanks.
There can definitely be discussion after the meeting.
Yeah.
So, if she's here, you guys wanna talk to her for sure.
Quickly update you. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to
Okay.
speak.
Okay, thank you very much, Ray. Then manager report and financial report would be both Christina, so we'll hand that over to Christina. Again, everybody has the financial report, right? Okay.
So, I'll start with my manager's report. As you might have guessed by the earlier conversation, it's been a challenging year on the board. While the financial operation of your association has been stable and remained stable, and everyone has paid the dues this year, there has obviously been some discontent on the board and some things happening, and I'm sure more of that will be coming forth in the days or weeks with the new board is dealing with some stuff. So I do want to say that part of the challenges began in July at a meeting when a new law was passed, and somebody asked about code reference. It's actually Title 55, Chapter 32. It talks about, it's a lot about HOA. There's some good things, there's some interesting things that had changed and happens. Part of the reason for the clarification is because there was conversation about what applies to board meetings versus membership meetings, and there seems to be different interpretations of the new Idaho code. And so that's what the lawyer fees have been started to be discussing. I mean, we need to know where we stand and what we should and shouldn't be doing. And that's really been the stance of most of the board. Excuse me. The other thing I was going to say is that the last 2 regular board meetings, August and September, as some of you already know, there was no quorum at those meetings because of illness and family emergencies amongst the board. There wasn't a quorum at those meetings. Those meetings were held at the public library. And the reason for that is because we needed a place that would accommodate everyone. The public library happens to be free for people who live in the city limits and have a library card, which I am that person. And so that was why that venue was chosen, because there was no cost to it, and it was, I guess, neutral turf, if you want to put it out there that way. So I'm sure more will be coming with whoever's elected to be dealing with the interpretation of the code and how it applies to your bylaws and your CC&Rs as well. Because the stance that this board has had has been the same that they've had, previous boards have had for the last 14 years, and that is everyone's trying to do the best job they can for themselves as homeowners and all of you as homeowners, to be fair to everybody and to keep things moving the way you all need them to, so you can enjoy your properties. So. Now, financial report. On one side is your balance sheet, and that shows you how much money you got in the bank. So you are in a stable position. You have a reserve savings account of $17,000, and the 2 CDs that you have to be maintained for your water loan. You all know you have a loan on the well system, right? So on that same page, you're going to go down a little farther where it says Idaho Water Resource Loan. That's the balance of the loan. That's what's left to pay. This is after this year's payment has been made. And so we make $14,000 and some dollar payment every year. A portion obviously goes to interest, a portion goes to the principal. So based on what usually happens there, you got about 6 years to go. I can't remember off the top of my head when it was created, but it pays about $10,000 roughly in principal every year. So on the other side of the financial report is the profit and loss. Shows you where the money's coming and going. The first column is your actuals, and the second column is the budget, and third and fourth have to do with percentage of the budgets. As you can see, you've collected 100% of the dues has come in. And what's still outstanding on an accounts receivable list are the monthly water bills, whether you're an irrigation user and you pay the 25 and the 6 for the fire, or whether you're just a fire user, it's all part of the same amount, so. And as you'll see, there is a legal attorney line item, shows you we spent $500. Your budget is uber tight, as you can see by the second column. If you collect everything you think you're going to and spend everything you think you're going to, you have $77 left over. And you did not budget money for attorneys because you didn't have it to budget.
And on that 500, I'm not sure it's been all spent because I believe it was a retainer.
It was a retainer.
So it hasn't even been all spent.
Any questions about the financial report?
I do. The loan for the well, is it a total payment loan?
Excuse me, what do you
Total, total equal payment, so every year it's exactly the same equal payment?
Yes.
So that means that there's going to be more principal being paid the longer we pay, less interest. So we're going to see a little bit more than 10,000 each year as it goes through.
It adjusts.
So it just, okay.
Well, and what you'll see on the back of the financial report, it shows you the water resource loan interest. So when you look at the budget line item, we show the budget to pay the whole payment, $14,323. Well, of course, we're not paying it all in that expense account of the interest. The interest this year was $4,104 because the principal amount goes against the liability that's on the balance sheet. Does that make sense? But you gotta count you're gonna spend it all in the budget because you're gonna spend it all.
How much is our monthly payment?
It's not a monthly, it's an annual payment.
And what was the total annual?
$14,323
Every year, right?
every year.
Christina, is that basically a truly amortized figure, but you just break it out so that we know?
What do you mean?
Well, it basically like a mortgage that's amortized over 30 years. You're paying a flat amount, but
It
you
adjusts.
know that
Yeah.
it's going to adjust out
Yeah.
More and more goes towards
that.
principal
And it's
the
like-
longer you're paying.
It's like 6.7% interest or something like that on the loan. It's the same payment every year. We
And
send it, they send us a bill, we send the money, they send a report back that tells me how to break it out, interest versus principal. And that's what we do.
When's it due?
It's billed in August and due in September. And I've asked, can we pay it earlier in the year and save interest? And they just never answered.
No, of course
They
not.
just never
They like their
answered
money.
any questions.
Are we anticipating additional legal fees? I mean, is this gonna be part of the budget going forward, or that's just a retainer?
I assume that the budget is based on the incoming association dues, and you can't really go past 19,500 unless you increase the annual dues.
Right, is that what we're anticipating?
My personal comment would be, if there continues to be accusations and whatever, I don't know. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that have been said about this board and the other members on the board, and one quit because of it, and I hope not. I hope there's no reason to, but it keeps getting pushed, and there hasn't been shown any proof yet, but yet there's said that there's proof, and there isn't proof because it didn't happen. So other than the July meeting that we're accused of having that we shouldn't have had, we continue with that July meeting in good faith based on what we knew. And that would be the only thing potentially that we even got close to breaking a rule with the new rules that came out that month. So
3 days before.
So how will the members be notified if there's additional legal fees? I think that was your question too.
well, all the board meetings now are open, so anybody can come to the board meetings and be part of the discussion, or listen to the board meetings on everything being discussed.
Can we not use the word open because that insinuates that you can close it? It's the board meeting and then executive session. Sorry. The term open meeting is is probably the most, is really an improper term. It's the board meeting.
Open to the
and then
members.
executive session, which closes for certain things that the law states that the board can close for reasons like medical or personal finance or things like that, that the board can go into executive session where the members can't attend.
But at that point, we just
So-
dismiss the members. We save that for the end. So the state law does say that it's open to the members now, and that came out in July.
And that's what we were trying to figure out in our supposed illegal meeting, is how do we apply this new law to our current bylaws? And how do we understand that? And in my opinion, when you're dealing with legal items, then you need to have a licensed attorney look at any legal paperwork, any things that are gonna become law or become recorded. If we're changing our bylaws to accommodate the new law, then we need to have it reviewed by an attorney, so we understand what we're doing when we change something. That was the purpose of hiring the attorney, was so that we could understand the law, understand what's in our bylaws and how we need to change that.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about this before, that the bylaws and the CCRs don't really work for everybody in the community.
Right.
You know, we have 2 acres, so we've talked about we're gonna make these changes, but I know people get busy. I agree with you that we should do that, but I would just love it if we take a holistic look at this and say, what do we need to change? Take our time, get the
Yes.
community involved, and then when we're done, we feel good about it, take it to the attorney, make sure that, instead of the one-offs.
It would be great if we could come together as a community and work together to try and do
So
that.
I have two questions when it comes to that comes to my mind. One, how much are you willing to pay? Because your budget constitutes no money for attorneys. That's it. I mean, like so you guys have to make a decision as a group. What's that amount of money? What's the cap in which you're willing to invest, first of all? The issues that the board has been dealing with for clarification have nothing to do with what you want to change for new stuff. This is how to deal with existing, what you already have on your plate in the records right now. This has nothing to do with making more changes.
Belinda, you have a proposed business plan idea that you would like to put together and present to the community in order to facilitate the moving forward with the different things. Can you kind of give us a little synopsis on that?
Yeah, so what I talked to Amy about is, I don't really have a big interest of running for the board of directors. But I would love to help us get our bylaws and our CCR changed to what we want as a community. What I understand is these bylaws and CCRs came from a California condo. Okay, we've got 2 acres. I think we've all run up against problems with some of this because it just doesn't fit for who we are. And I don't want to do it in a vacuum. I'd like to get a group together. I'd like to get the community involved and say, okay, here's what we're looking at changing. Do you agree? And get this changed to what we want, and then take it to an attorney and make sure it's legal. But then we are agreeing as a community, and hopefully some of the fighting will go away, because some of this is because we're not able to do what we want to on our property. Totally agree. So I was gonna wait until, I sent something to Amy, but I'd like to wait until the board is established, the new board, and take it to them and say, okay, this is what I'd like to propose, and then take it to the community. But we all need to get involved, because this is our property. You know, we don't want fuchsia-colored houses, and we don't want trailers pulled on, but we don't also want to be so restricted that we can't do what we need to do on 2+ acres. So.
That'll be welcomed.
I agree.
How do we establish, I agree with you, and is there a process that, how do we do this, or?
The board can surely create a committee. We've tried to do that in the past. But at the board's discretion, we can create any committee. We can create a committee that runs all that. We tried to have a CCR committee at one point, and that kind of fell apart. So, but yeah, we want people's help, and that's where the committees come in.
Well, I think too, we can look at interest groups within our community. What are the, what are the points that make the most sense for whatever goes on. I think the community, when it was developed, you have to look at over 20 years ago. And we as a community today are certainly very, very different as individual families as well as a community. We have, lots of age changes, children, no children. Aging parents, but I mean health issues that none of us ever would have dreamed of 20 years ago. But life does happen, and so we need to change our community so that it looks like what we going forward and those coming after us are comfortable with. And I think it was to a certain extent somewhat cookie cutter. I don't know where the condo concept for the CCNRs came from, because I didn't see that anywhere in there. But HOAs have evolved. Many of them work well. There's a lot that don't work well. And I think we are a prime example of needing to get out of this cocoon, if you will, and into something that's more harmonious and productive for the whole community.
Amen. Mark, I know you raised your hand earlier.
I just had a question. When you put your budget together, at what time and how do you arrive at that? Is that in January or? And if it is, I would propose that the budget is, you guys develop your budget and you bring it to this group during this annual meeting for approval. Because it's all this community's money. We should be able to help set your budget or approve your budget as a board.
And I don't think our budget's changed, do they, right? It's all the same costs.
Pretty much
It's to
the same.
cover the well. It's mainly for the well.
And it's, by the way, it's your budget, not the board's. It's all of yours.
Right.
But that's why I say, you ought to bring it to this meeting as a group and have it approved by the group for the next year.
Well, then this is pretty much the next year, right, Christina? I mean, there's no changes.
Yeah, unless you're gonna raise your dues, this is your budget
The
for
dues
next
haven't
year.
changed. In fact, they kind of went down because last year, Amy saw that the special assessments were supposed to be one per year.
Year before.
Or the year before, sorry. And that they just don't go ongoing. So we removed the special assessment last year of the 125 because it shouldn't continue on unless it gets reapproved every year. But other than that, the fees are the same for the well, and that's the bulk of where everything's going.
Well, one thing I would suggest that.
But I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying nothing's changed.
Yeah, that there's a thought that looking at attorney's fees is an ongoing operational consideration. Most corporations, most HOAs today do have a legal process that's in place. It's basically insurance, because we don't know, we might be sued by who knows what or whom. There may be issues that come up that are legislative. We don't always know those things. But we don't always know when we're going to get in a car wreck either, do we? So we have insurance, and part of that insurance is having good legal coverage available with someone that works with our community. So whatever those numbers look like, I would certainly suggest a very strong thought that we just include that as a budget item going forward.
So that would be a potential increase, and that would be a consideration for raising
Right.
dues if we're going to do that.
Right.
But up to this point, since I've been here, we haven't had to do that. Okay.
I do have a question on the equipment repairs.
On the what?
The equipment repairs, we have budgeted $900, and we obviously spent quite a bit more. Is
Yes.
that something that we should maybe look at setting some aside, besides legal fees, but?
Yep, that's been discussed. That was discussed
It
a few
got
board
900
meetings ago.
because that was what was left. You could have had the 977 if that would have made it. I'm not kidding you, that number used to be 2,000. And things have had to change.
Yeah, it looks like we need to
Yeah.
make some adjustments.
Well, in the special assessment they talked about, that got stopped because, and it was because the covenants are written a certain way. That's exactly what the past boards were doing, was building that 125 into a reserve. And in the thought that there was no large special assessment for all of you when it came to well repairs or whatever that looked like. But then when it was deemed that that's not how that was written, and we stopped doing that, that money has been spent, which is what paid for some of that.
Right. And the concern of that continuing is because the special assessment needs to be spent on what the special assessment was for. So if we're building up this thing and then it gets spent on something else, that's not correct. So we figured if something happened again, which would be on the money, which technically this year we kind of did, then we'd either do another special assessment. The only other way to do that is to raise the normal dues to build that up.
There's also limited assessment.
The what?
The limited assessment.
Correct, there's also limited assessment. Anything else on financial?
So we don't have an emergency, any kind of emergency fund, right? We're very balanced.
Not really.
So to Jennifer's point, maybe we want to discuss that at future meetings on a reserve. Because equipment's going to malfunction, right? Sorry, equipment's going to break, so I just asked, should we talk about a future meeting about emergency reservoir?
We like to use, it's going to need maintenance, not
Yes.
break.
Well,
isn't it pretty old?
Isn't it 20 years old, the system?
Parts of it?
Well, there have been replacements in the past,
So we're only 6 months
right?
old.
Yeah.
There was a pump or some part of that it cavitated more than once, and
Last year
there
was the pumps, this year was the control panel,
But
and a
that
very
was-
small things.
That was
Was
nature.
there something in the, beyond last year that?
Oh,
where there-
prior to the tanks that are in the ground going in, yeah, you burned through 2 pumps because they didn't scope the well before they stuck a $15,000 pump in the hole.
Right. Mark?
Well, maybe, or I would move that we accept this budget with a special assessment that we've had in the past for the 2023 season, with that special assessment going to future repairs on the well and possible attorney fees or whatever comes up.
So are you motioning that we add a special assessment tonight and vote on that?
Tonight, take this and accept this as your budget for 2023 with a special assessment and move forward.
So with the special assessment, it can be levied in a single calendar year to be used in that calendar year for construction, repair, or replacement of capital improvements. Capital improvements would be the well. So you can't use that for attorney fees. That was one of the other things the previous board was doing, was trying to use it to build some attorney fee stuff. So you can't use it for that.
Fees, $100.
Do what?
For 120, for 2023. It's not a special assessment, it's an increase in dues, and then you can budget that accordingly into repair and maintenance and attorney fees. So it's money that'll be sitting on the books. If it's not used, then that can be applied somewhere else.
Well-
That's the motion that I would put, that I have right now.
Okay, to increase the annual dues.
Yes.
By what? Oh, is that what he said?
Another gentleman taking care of our.
It would be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, so we need, it sounds like it's a big issue.
For the most part, they've taken no money
That's
to do this, and it would be thousands of dollars for the work that they've
So
done.
it sounds like something we really need to.
Yeah, the roof and the drywall have been on the list for a very long time, but when the pump took a dump, that took precedence over all the other repairs that we had on the list. So.
So
there is not
Christina, this is the
enough
first
money
time
left.
Now we have a backup.
since I've been here, there's been a proposal at the annual meeting for an increase in dues.
Say that again?
This is the first time since I've been to any of these meetings that there's been an increase,
Someone from
a
the.
proposal, a motion for increasing
We've
dues.
always had to ask, no one's ever
And
asked.
we're on financial, is that something kosher to do now then, is to
Yeah.
420.
take a vote for that, and, but we have to
Well-
decide how much.
Well, I'm assuming that based on what Amy was reading about the covenants, you're withdrawing your original motion of a special assessment. Mark, you're withdrawing your original motion for a special assessment.
For a special assessment, I do move that we increase our dues. We're gonna have future repairs, and they could be horrendous
Yeah.
moving forward. It's better to have some money in the bank than to walk up there to White and say, we need $2,000 per home to do some repairs, whether it be on the pump in the ground, we could have a huge leak and, it could get real messy, so it's better to have some money in the bank than not.
So $100.
What about those
Go
who
ahead.
are not watering with the community?
Because we're not.
This
So,
has
unfortunately-
nothing to do with the community well.
Yeah.
This has to
Still
do
have
with
the
the
fire
individual.
suppression that we have to
Because it's also
consider.
part of the fire suppression system.
It's first and foremost there for fire hydrants.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in dues for someone on irrigation versus not?
There's an additional $25 per month for someone that is on.
Okay.
Everybody else pays $5 that's not on, and that's just a
Six. I know.
6, sorry, yes.
Okay, I move that we do that once a year, not once a month, and waste a lot of postage and writing checks. That's what I do.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Christina will
So we have a
always take
motion by
money.
Mark to increase the annual dues by $100.
Is it 100? So
That's what
100
we
would
said,
be
right?
3,000 for the year.
Hold on a second,
Sure.
hold on. I like the $100, but I actually would prefer it to be specifically for maintenance on the well. I don't like the idea of it going to attorney's fees. The only reason I'm saying that, and this is not pointing fingers, I don't want a board, this board, the next board, looking at a slush fund of money that can be spent for attorney and somebody getting sue happy and saying, well, I have that money's there to use for an attorney, so let's do it. I'll sue you. That's my fear.
The only thing that I have to say about that, and when I first came on the board, I was quite surprised that we didn't have any money allocated for consultation with an attorney for any legal documents or anything that we're trying to accomplish legally. A new amendment, anything like that, should be reviewed by an attorney that represents the community as a whole. And I thought that we should have some kind of budget in there to allow for consultation with an attorney.
And
It's not to
I
sue
what you're
people.
saying, but I also know that a 15-minute phone call with an attorney, whatever whoever on the board wants to call the attorney, is gonna cost $200 for 15 minutes. I don't want a board member calling and saying, oh, well, this person's saying this about me and I want to sue them. I don't want to pay for that.
No.
So
Then-
that's my 2 cents. Whether, if you guys think I'm
So that hasn't
silly
happened, just so you
about
know. No one's called the attorney to ask to
So-
sue anybody.
there's always a first.
So in order
To your
to,
point,
I mean, given the fact of how this meeting started, I would be.
so the only way that you could definitely make sure that it always goes to the construction, repair, and replacement of capital investments is to do a special assessment. So as the new budget comes in, they say, okay, we know that these repairs are gonna be happening, we need to have something happen. But it has to be that calendar year. If any money is left over, it has to be returned. So if you did a special assessment, you know for a fact it goes to the well.
Okay, well, I threw that out there. That's my concern. It doesn't, so you can move forward.
Part of the attorney fees is we're starting to do this change in the CPRs, and we need to have, once they're done, we need to have an attorney go through those, and that's what I'm looking at.
I understand that, and I agree with you. Again, my fear was somebody deciding to sue somebody else on the board, and I don't want to pay for somebody's 15-minute phone calls just because somebody doesn't get along with somebody else.
could there be a stipulation that
That's all.
if we did put something aside for that, that it would only be used for review of basically board, like CCRs, legal documents and not for litigious activities? Is that something to be?
I think you guys need to take into account who you elect as your board members. If you don't trust them to do what you want, you've elected the wrong people.
Right.
But we don't all know each other that well. That's part of the problem.
And what we've seen on display today is not, who would want to go for the board?
Heck, I would have never thought that somebody would do the crap that they did to Amy.
So,
We have a motion on the floor by Mark. I have no second. Anybody want to second the increase? Okay.
I have a question too. I thought we had 17,000 in reserves. If we look here to 17,000 in the savings account.
17,600,
You
800.
You could spend, well, I moved 2,000 of that when I paid the power bill. You need to save some of that for carryover until the dues come in, because not everybody kicks out their 650 in January. And so there's carrying costs, but you could tap into that money. Mhm.
I mean, can we tap into that money if there is a problem and then do a special assessment to,
Pick up the slack?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
to cover
How
that?
much
I mean,
was the total
why do we
bill?
have to do it up front?
Yeah,
When
there's-
we
Especially
were
if there's
paid.
so much.
well, yeah, there's 36.
When you did that.
Well, the special assessment is what would happen
Right
with
now.
what you just
Technically-
described.
Tell that off
The
top of my head.
limited, well, what was,
We've spent
Go
in
ahead.
repairs to the city.
So there's technically not $36,000 because you can't tap into those. Those are on reserve until the very last payment, which you can use to make your last payment. Is that correct,
I
Christina?
do not know that.
Okay. So it's either we get that money back after we make our last payment, or we use that for the last payment on the well. So it's not 36,000, it's 17.
So we spent already $8,516.64. So, and that was with them working and getting this done. So if we have another huge breakdown, $17,000 is not gonna go very far.
But then could we do a special assessment at that point?
Yes.
Good.
Well, we could.
You know, because I think we'd all agree, yes, we want to really.
The other thing to consider on the annual is there's no end. Special assessment, there's definitely end. You got that for a year, and then if you need another repair, you do it the next year. If you have another repair, you do it the next year. But the changing of the annual dues, that's permanent.
It can't be reduced. I mean, if we ever.
You can vote to reduce it, but
We can vote to
what,
reduce them.
Good.
So when we
you
come back next
could.
year and we redo the budget, here's the dues that we're gonna take to do the budget.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
We can do that.
Do it at this annual meeting, set the budget for next year. Let's try to build up a fund, so if something catastrophic hits, then we paid a little bit at a time instead of one big lump sum to come into that. That's all I'm
I
trying
already
to do,
have
is
some,
let's just
Brian.
build this thing up to where if something
Reasonable.
does happen, we've got the money.
and then $100 would be 3,000 extra for the year.
Is the monthly water fee for non-irrigators or everybody pays $6 a month, 5 or 6?
That's to cover the
Six.
electricity, to
Six.
keep it all, $6 is, yeah, to cover the electricity, to keep it running and heated and not freeze.
So I would like to recommend that we set a cap on this. We say we want to increase the budget to this dollar amount. And then when we hit that, then we can relook at it. Because if we don't, and people are moving and all of a sudden this is just what it is, I think we've got to put some rules around it.
Well, every year when we come back to do this, we would look at the budget again and say, do we really need this high? If not,
Yeah.
we can reduce it.
Well, the reality is, in 6 years, you can have a good discussion about the money, because your loan will be paid off, which is where a big chunk of your dues goes.
My motion was for the year, for the 2023 budget, right, this is where we're going. Kim just brought up a point. Idaho Power's gonna increase their power costs, and they're talking 10%. So we could be hit big time next year.
Okay, but that number comes out of your specialist or your water money every month. That number is recalculated every year.
But it's gonna take more and more of it out into the budget.
No,
No.
we build in, that's where you're paying your $6 and your 25 if you're an irrigator.
So next year, as
Those
it's
numbers are
increased,
built in,
then we
so-
would ask to adjust that.
Well, even equipment costs are gonna go up.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we repair and do things, and until we dig into that building, we really don't know what it's gonna take to
So,
fix it.
so is your motion for the year of 2023 or starting the year?
2023,
For, okay.
$750, so it goes up another $100 for 2023.
Good with that, Brian?
For,
You're good with, okay.
and that will give you your budget.
So we have a motion and a second to increase the annual dues by $100 for 2023. All those in favor?
Wait, so I'm still reading through the CCRs to see if that is something that you can do, or if you have to vote the following year to reduce it back down, or to keep it where it's at. Because as of right now, if you increase it, it just stays that way. So the next year you do your budget, but you're not voting on changing the yearly assessment.
But what Mark was
That's what we're
saying,
saying,
there
we'll
could be a
do it
motion on the floor
at the
at
annual
next meeting to reduce it if we needed to.
To reduce
So that-
or increase.
So that would
Or
require
to retain the same.
next year to do a new motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I took is you guys wanna look at the budget next year and decide together.
Then this is what you would need. But it would be nice if you guys could come in with a good firm budget, and if it's this, that's fine, this is what we have. As a group, we can say, well, we only need $500. So it's just, but every year, we should be in this budget as a group for it to be used by the board.
So if the next board comes in and says that they do the budget and that you have no say in that, because that's what it is as of right now, then you don't have a choice next year if the new board says you don't have that choice.
Make a motion on the budget right there. And this is your budget for 2023, if it sits.
But the board makes the budget, so that's one of the risks you run into. It should be. It should be. The group should do that, but you run the risk that.
Propose considering something like a reserve study, so that you don't have to do that. If you get a reserve study that you know you're forecasting out the maintenance and repair of the well, which is really our primary and only common area issue, and possibly a little bit for the,
I mean, we all live
electrical
here, I
bill.
think we're all interested in.
But the reserve study for most HOAs where there are other structures that are common area, you know that you can forecast out to the life of that piece of equipment or pieces of equipment a certain length of time. And then you cover that with your dues either in one fell swoop or you choose to do it over a period of time. Again, there's a cost involved in doing that, but I think it might give a level of expertise that we don't have here. I mean, we have experience.
Well, the dynamic, your big expense is the well,
Yeah.
is the pumps. I
Right.
mean, so today, what, if we had to replace an entire pump system, like a pump, not the board again, but the pump, what would a pump cost?
But you also have to figure out this building.
Right,
Last year,
$12,000 to $15,000.
at 20% right now.
I'm glad we got an extra one.
My concern is that the Board of Directors shall fix the amount of annual assessment against each lot by January preceding the annual assessment period beginning January 15th. It doesn't say that the board has to take any motions. It doesn't say the board has to listen to any of the members in changing that, whether it goes up or down.
It doesn't say that they don't have to either.
Right?
No, it doesn't.
Right. And we're doing that now.
I'm just throwing that out there, devil's advocate. I've seen stuff like this happen before. So just so you know that voting for this, it means it increases, and then they can just not let you do anything next year.
This could be a change in the CCR that says,
Yeah.
budget is set at the annual meeting by the members for the next year.
11.07. Article 11.07.
I think we take our chances on your motion, go for it, and hopefully the board will be amicable about listening and wanting to work with the community on the budget.
The motion's been made and seconded.
Yep.
And it's been voted on, so.
Well, it was halfway through a vote, so.
You want to do that again, Christina?
We have a motion and a second to increase the annual dues by $100 for 2023. All those in favor?
We have one
Can I ask
question.
one thing here? You know, if we're gonna get stuck there and we don't know where some of these expenses are going, I would like to make a friendly amendment, instead of $100 for the year, that we raise it $250, because we have not had an increase since, initially it was $500 a year, it went to $650, and we haven't had an increase for numerous years. And to give us a little bit of money to spend, or make sure we have, not to spend, but to make sure we have it.
Right.
I would recommend that we raise our annual fee to $900 a year, which is still a bargain compared to most subdivisions in this county.
I'll fix that.
Another question?
So you have this, you have this savings account of almost $18,000, correct?
Mhm.
You're saying if the total well just blew out and it went down, so replace it, it's like 15 grand? And it's gonna be paid off in 6 years?
The loan on the whole system will be paid off.
So then all of that money is coming back to the community on an annual basis, correct?
Yeah, you'd have the $14,000 payment.
We can lower the amount of annual dues.
I'm not really, and being Mr. Property Realtor Contractor, I'm not really in with just raising it, because I go back to Amy's point where, with what's going on in the community, whatnot, it doesn't, nothing against anybody, people are people. But you get aborted here and they say, well, yeah, we raised it $250. No, we're just not gonna let you vote, we're gonna keep it better. So if you wanna inch towards building up a fund for the community to maintain the well, the only thing we have to maintain is the well.
Well,
And
we've got the well
relationships.
and the water system itself.
Yeah.
There's a break in that water system, it's be expensive to fix.
Okay, well, I heard 15,000 if it all went down.
No,
Everybody
if
was
it
counting.
was a pump.
There was a pump,
Okay. So, I mean, myself, I would be fine with a assessment.
Special
for the-
assessment
special
for the year.
assessment that goes off the books. But unless the authority of the board is altogether changed, and it has to go, Mark wants to have an annual vote, then the authority of the board has to be changed, period, to where that can't happen. So you get 3 or 4 people on the board saying, no, we're not gonna lower it. We're gonna leave it where it is.
But
So,
that's where the annual meeting comes in, because as a group, we can tell
So
the
that,
board
that's fine.
that they can't do
So,
that.
so it needs to be all put in black and white where the board
Mhm.
is changed to where, like Amy says, you get a board in there and they say, no, we're not gonna vote on this, we're gonna leave it where it is. You don't have a say.
A couple
So-
people said just vote them out.
but that takes a year. So they start doing something ahead of time. How
Or a
about,
special meeting. Takes a special meeting as well.
yeah, you can do special meetings.
And you can clearly see from here, the budget is 95 to 97% goes to the well.
Yeah.
Our water. So, why do we have an HOA? What does it do for me? Nothing. I propose that we get rid of the HOA and have everything, an HOA just for what we're talking about right now.
Well, that has been a discussion, and I think that should be something that the new board should come up with, because I feel the same way about the ACC. Why do we need an ACC at this point in
We
time?
don't.
So,
We don't need an HOA or an ACC. Get rid of it.
There's no protection for the other property owners. Everybody's got really nice homes.
Right?
And there's nobody to say no to being in double wide trailers and.
If you don't have an HOA to control
Right.
that.
I think it can be very simplified, though. I agree.
In my last neighborhood, we did that. We had an HOA only to pay off the shared road, the main road into the neighborhood. Once we paid it off, we disbanded the HOA. We moved to a POA, a Property Owners Association, where we all voted on things like somebody wants to put in a trailer, bring their mother-in-law, and build a little and we all voted as a community. And it was simple, maybe oversimplified, but it was a POA, and there was, I think it worked out really well. We lived there for 5 years and really had no issues.
There's no reason for it.
But we had the HOA to pay the road.
For the water.
Well, in this case, it was a road, but, yeah.
POA.
So,
I
again, we have a motion on the floor to increase the dues.
Can you put a motion in for a POA?
We have a motion on the floor right now to increase the dues by $100 for 2023. So I've asked those in favor, and it's not a great yell here. So who's against that?
Against.
Raising the dues by $100 for 2023. No
I-
one's against it. How
I-
many are in favor of it? Thank you. So it looks like that
The
passed.
voting has been unanimous.
Whew. Well, I wouldn't say unanimous, but passed. So I will be devil's advocate here and say you have a $60,000 loan that needs to be paid off before you think of disbanding your HOA.
Yep.
So
In
you can
entirety.
either cash it out, anybody got the money? Or in 6 years, you get that conversation. And I think that might be a great idea for you guys to simplify what's going on.
Actually, it wouldn't remove the corporation itself. It doesn't. The corporation can stay and be still there, because it is a corporation. It's through Secretary of State. The corporation would still be there. The corporation would still have the loan. We would all still have the payments. So that doesn't change anything. It just changes this document and this document, the
So what
CCRs
if
and the
someone chooses not
bylaws.
to pay the dues?
That's where you have the water committee that has the water rules. So you would have to totally change the documents to be specifically the water portion. So we do have water portion stuff.
And
You
that
would
water
just have
committee would
to,
also have to put a lien on someone's house if they go past the time in which they're supposed to pay their dues.
which is just something you add into that section. So
Which turns into a legal thing as well, and potential.
same thing that we have now.
Right, but there's no one to run that, so. I'm just saying those are the things that do
The
happen.
loan has nothing to do with an HOA. If you go to a POA and have an HOA portion just for this water.
Well, if your goal is to get rid of the covenants, then all you gotta do is modify them and repeal them all. Repeal the ones you don't want. You don't have to change any kind of structure. My own HOA, the only downfall is if you're in violation, you can't go to our park for 2 weeks. It's a grass, and there's nothing there but grass and trees, and I live on an acre lot, so I don't care, right? I don't care. I mean, so your covenants are actually pretty good for some of those kind of things that others don't have, and although your homes are nice now, if you put your rules too low, then you end up with people with tarps over the sheds and all of those things that you don't want at your level of homes.
You're gonna have 15 cars on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
And
care
half
what
of 'em aren't
you-
gonna
what
run.
You say our houses are nice, you're gonna have campers, you're gonna have somebody building a house that becomes a rental.
Yep.
And it will happen, period. And you're
So
gonna
do you
have
all know the
somebody
name-
move in that has a beautiful house and says,
Yeah.
my favorite color is sky blue, I'm painting it.
So the neighborhood up on the hill over here, Pheasant Ridge and Duck and all that, what is that neighborhood called?
No
They
idea.
got rid of their HOA, because I have a friend that lives over there. They just have a water board, but they have no CCRs really. So if you drive over through that neighborhood, that's kind of exactly what happened. At one time, it was beautiful homes that overlooked the lake and everything, and now it's very spotty. You know, there's still some nice homes, but there's some really interesting things over there too.
And we all have our own taste, we all have our
Yeah.
own.
I agree, I mean, I think some
way of
level of
living, and I
CCRs
may put a,
that we agree on.
put a brand new fence
But do you
out
need a
back
CC, I guess
and
do you need a
build
CCR, do you need an HOA for CCRs? I mean, you all are up here, volunteer positions, working your asses off for us, and you're getting, well, there's infighting, but you're getting the brunt of all this. I don't wanna see any of you all, any of our neighbors have to go through this, personally.
Well, in order to do the finances, we have to have some type of an entity. This is a nonprofit corporation, so we don't have to do what other corporations do with finances in taxes and stuff. So, yes, I believe that you would still have to have the corporation in order to collect the dues and do all those things. As far as the CCRs, you decide as a member of the corporation what you want. Votes at 75% to change the CCRs. So you
So
decide.
could there be a water board and then the CCRs are agreed upon by the neighbors?
Well, the
That's how it's supposed
CCRs
to
can
be.
be agreed upon by the neighbors right now.
Right, there just has to be proposals and changes and.
But nobody, my understanding is nobody's really wanted to dig into it for several years, right? They keep getting kind of kicked down.
They dug into it and dug into it and dug into it 5 times.
Because it's a lot of work.
So I think it needs a committee, like Belinda
Yeah.
suggested, to review all of them and make some recommendations for what you guys want.
Agree.
Just as a side, at any time during the year, it only takes 25% of the community to request a special meeting to propose anything, including ousting the entire board if that's what the community wants.
I thought that was 10%.
Well, I think it's 25%.
Are you sure?
So.
Anyway.
So just letting you know, well, there's a couple comments that asked, do we have to wait a full year? The answer is no, you don't. You know, a special meeting can be put together for good or bad, whatever the case is, it can be done with very little support. So,
However,
okay.
you could just ask the president, because he can do it without the vote. I mean, you could ask your president to hold a special meeting.
The president can call it as well.
Yeah.
Correct. Without 25%. It's either 25% of the members or the president. Yep. Okay, there is no old business from last annual meeting. New business, I believe we've talked about this topic, but I'm not sure if it needs to be more. These are your topics, Amy.
Which one?
Members' access to board meetings.
Oh, those are the Christina
discussed
already
a bit.
mentioned 55-3204.
Mhm.
And
Good.
the other rules, the laws, statutes.
Okay, anything more on that?
Only if people have questions on it.
Okay, any questions on open access to the members for the meetings? That's what that line item's about. And those are the titles and chapters that came out in July.
And anybody want to see financial records anytime during the year, you just got to send me an email.
Yep.
Are you still proposing to have meetings off-site, or what's the?
That's
That's the next one, right? I'm guessing
Yeah.
that's what venue means.
venue, yeah.
So that was yours? I'm not sure what that was about.
Well, so it was brought to my attention that people were getting upset that the venue changed off-site. They want it here in the community. So I wanted to present it to the membership in order for the membership to decide where, it says in the bylaws that the board of directors will decide where the meeting happens. The first place that it's supposed to happen is on the property. If that's not plausible, then it's as close to the property as practical in county and county. So I think that you guys should decide where the meetings take place, because you guys are the ones that are inconvenienced on having to go to the meetings off-site.
Maybe we should pose that to the entire membership, everybody that, even those that aren't here, to find out who it is, because there may be some people that aren't here that just won't come to meetings at all because of past. This is not the first time that there's been bickering, and many people know that. And I was warned not to build on my property because this board was so vicious, and this was before I even moved here. So,
Well, that was before this
there
board
are
as
people-
That was the
well.
last board.
yeah,
It
that
was the last board, not this
board.
board.
And I personally want it in a neutral territory where any bickering that's going on, I don't want to be a part of it. I think the entire membership, there are people that refuse to come to these board meetings because of past things that have occurred in this neighborhood. And that's a sad state for this community.
What's the different venue gonna have to do with that? Because
I'm sorry?
I wasted my time the last 2 meetings that got canceled.
And I was
drove all
ill.
the way over there, and I was not pleased about that. So it needs to be held around here somewhere.
I hear what you're saying. If you can find a neutral spot, this is a great place,
this is
if you're
neutral.
willing to hold future meetings.
The other thing is you can consider doing Zoom meetings, and then it's very convenient because you can do it right from your home or office. Many HOAs have gone to that. They did because of COVID.
Love that.
So
I like that idea too. I don't even have to leave my
These
house.
kind of people just said that it was not a problem, and they offered to have it here.
And that's
That'd be
fine.
great.
So, and we'll have a bathroom next time.
There's a bathroom in there?
And when it was being discussed to go elsewhere besides the Winers, I didn't know this shop was available. I did request of Stan Stringham, and he wasn't able to do it. He lives across from me. And I didn't know anybody else. The last time I looked here before you guys were asked by Amy, I didn't see a roof on the place. Otherwise, I would have asked you as well. So that's why it originally was gonna move for this meeting, was gonna be at the rec center, because it was close. Closer. 12, 13 minutes versus 25 to the library. So, but the library was free, which is why that was chosen as well. So, but I'd rather be here as well, but there are some members that don't want to go to certain places. But I think this is a great place, and if the O'Hares are willing to keep offering it up.
We will unless you guys don't want to.
So,
I mean,
but are you willing to offer it up for the monthly open meetings?
Monthly
I'm gonna speak
meeting.
for them for
What?
just a second.
Monthly meeting.
As long as you're not on
Monthly
vacation somewhere.
open access?
I mean.
The state law reference open. It says open in the state law.
But they didn't
You can
call it
also
open
have
meeting.
a hybrid and have the in-place meeting that we're in now and the Zoom for those who either can't or do not want to come. It would require having the equipment here to do it, but it can be done.
It's just a
It
laptop,
can be, but
right?
it's pretty difficult to have some on Zoom and some in person. It's pretty difficult to do that, because I've done that with a
I
few.
mean, unless you had a TV.
Well, basically, it would be a computer set up pointing at the board. Right?
You guys aren't going to get us a 60-inch TV and Wi-Fi in here and everything else? You can give us an ice maker though, right?
They need a bathroom.
But not the good ice.
So I think we're all in agreement that we want to try to keep it here, and that's always been my intent as well, and the only reason to move it was for other reasons you already know. But I thank you, O'Hares, for offering this up. All right. Number 7 is proposals. And I'll leave that to Amy and the 9 people or whomever else wants to participate in presenting that.
So for the course of the year, people were becoming concerned with some of the stuff that's been going on. And I was happy to work with everybody in making these amendments. And then I paid out of my own dime for an attorney to review them because this was of concern. I don't believe everybody even has copies of the proposed amendments.
The ones that got emailed?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, in your CCRs and in your bylaws, there's already a couple sections, 13.03 in your CCRs, and Article 9 of the bylaws that state that if there's confliction with law, law governs after you go to court. Several people have found that to be pretty stupid because it's very easy to read a law and go, oh, read the law, you know not to violate the law, so don't. So a lot of that was basically put into these amendments, basically saying that this is the CCR or the bylaw, but we have to abide by law, which is true. Whether you approve these amendments or not, that is still the case. Law will govern over all of your governing documents. So it goes the bylaws, the CCRs, articles of incorporation, law. So we have to abide by law. That's all there is to
And there's
it.
other places referenced other than Article 9 that talks about following the law. It's already in the bylaws.
It is. So when this was brought forward this year that you have to abide by law, it was met with opposition that they didn't have to. And that's absolutely not true because it does say in the CCRs and the bylaws that you have to abide by law.
That's not what happened.
But
Okay.
What happened?
it's all on recording.
Okay.
So in the bylaws, Article 9, it says that in the case these bylaws conflict with provisions of the laws, the provisions would be null and void, that particular provision, but upon final court determination. Who wants to go to court every time your bylaws or your CCRs conflict with law? And that's going to get expensive, and that's ridiculous.
There's other sections here that don't mention court that talk about following law.
Yes.
Here and the CCNRs. So you're calling out the only one that talks about court.
But
there's
it's in
other
there.
spots that talk about following law. There's like 3 spots in here that talk
Okay.
about following law.
Well, it would be nice.
I had a question. Did I miss something? Backing up, I know you said you paid out of your own pocket for an attorney to make some changes. I guess what I missed is why? Were you guys not agreeing on stuff?
We weren't even part of it. We didn't know about it until
Didn't even
she
know
asked
about it.
Christina to send it out.
So
We knew
why,
nothing about all
then
this.
why did you go on your own to find an attorney? What was going on, I guess? Are we allowed to
So-
know that? 'Cause-
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go into and watch the YouTube, or not watch, listen to, I presented the law, and I was met with opposition.
Which law?
There's several laws.
About July meeting?
I'm talking even before that. So there's laws in effect.
I'm sorry if I'm missing this. So
Yeah.
if you could just walk us through the laws, if we have time. So one law I heard was HOA meetings have to be open, right? That was one, right?
That's an entire section of what they were reviewing that day. That's one of many pieces
So
of
you all
it.
weren't agreeing on that, so you went and did your own.
So
if I
basically
may,
it was-
I'm not going to argue. If I may, the emails, Amy did present opposition to us having the next July meeting, claiming it to be an illegal meeting and that she wants it to be open. But at that time, there was no law provided to us. We had the emails. In those emails, Phyllis even reviewed them again today to look. There was references to the opposition of not wanting to be a closed meeting, but it to be, allow everybody to come. And we didn't understand why. At the July meeting, at the very beginning when we called to order, Amy objected. We all were surprised at that and we thought she was actually kidding, but she was not. And that's when she quoted the laws that you see in the agenda. So at that point, I'm getting on my computer to look at the laws, and again, the laws took effect July 1st, and our meeting was the 5th. So we're 4 days into new laws that we don't even really know about, and I asked Amy, why are you surprising us? And you can listen to her audio on that, because that's what I said. Why are you surprising us with this? Why didn't you come to us with the actual laws and the titles and everything else and discuss it prior to the meeting? And she said, on advice from her attorney, told her to wait until the meeting to let us know.
To wait for him to contact me back, which he did that day.
What you said was
to confirm.
Either way, it was to
and
wait. So you surprised us in the meeting.
So that's
objected.
not even
finish,
true.
and you can go back. I've listened to a lot
Well,
of
you
your
just
stuff.
interrupted me and stopped me from being able to finish with the laws.
Because she
So-
asked the question, I was answering the
And
question.
I was trying to answer the question, and since I have the floor.
But
So,
so we decided to continue in good faith. We were already there and continued the July meeting. After that, all the meetings were open
so
at the library.
the laws for legal notice were already in place, and they've been in place for many, many years. And when I presented to the board of directors, so actually, Darren presented, let's close this meeting. They said, no, I don't think you can do that. I think there's laws in place that you cannot close the meetings. We have to have them all open. As I'm reading through laws and learning new things, I present this to the board. And I said, no, actually, I think you're wrong. You can't do that because you have to give legal notice. Why would you have to give legal notice if you can lock out the members, which you can't? So when I presented that, a couple of the board members said that they felt uncomfortable doing the open board meetings in front of, doing the business in front of the members. So whatever, if you're uncomfortable, whatever. But you have to have these meetings that are open. I was working with my attorney because these laws were being violated, and I needed to know which laws they were, how they apply, and to be able to go to the meeting with the facts and the data. So I did that, and again, I was met with opposition on that. So what I wanted to do, and what several other people, once they learned about this and listened to the audio recording, they wanted to make sure that there was a bunch of references in the CCRs and the bylaws that say that you have to abide by law. And if anything conflicts with law, law governs. So that's pretty much what all of the amendments are saying, is that you have to abide by law. At that meeting, it was presented that we went by the bylaws. And I kept saying, if the bylaws conflict with law, the law governs.
And two of the sections refer to as per your bylaws in these sections. Three of them say as per the bylaws. And that was the confusion we had during that meeting, in which why we continued the meeting in good faith, because it was very confusing.
And if you would have continued to Section 3 like I asked you to, the confusion would have been eliminated because it said fair and reasonable notice. At that time, if you read it, you would have done that. But the by,
Aren't even listening anymore. She asked you a very simple question.
Okay.
about why people don't spend money on insurance.
So,
Be-
But
So-
then a question was asked again of all of us.
so as I'm putting this stuff together, I have a friend who is an attorney. He doesn't charge me very much. He's a really great guy, so I went to him. I paid him a little bit of money to review these for you as a neighbor. That is why I hired the attorney to review these. There were a bunch of members that were involved in this whole process. They were doing the reviewing, rewriting, revising. I believe, Jennifer, did you recommend that I change one of the amendments completely to go into the ACC and say that you will work with shall? Actually, Mark, I think Mark said shall. So the amendment number 4 was changed completely by the members that were working with these and doing these, and wanted to have something completely different, because some of them are redundant. The fact that all of them, you don't even have to vote on these, because it's still, the law governs.
Agreed.
But one of the things was that the ACC shall work with the member, and I believe that was Mark that requested that one. So I guess to answer your question, I was being neighborly. I paid for it. It wasn't that much out of my pocket.
But not all these are about meetings or open meetings. They're about other things.
No,
Land
they are.
rights and CUP and different things, so. And the only thing that we didn't agree with on that particular meeting was stopping the meeting. We continued to move forward in good faith. But all these are not about that. They're different proposals for other things.
Yeah, these have nothing to do with the meeting.
Maybe we could start at number 1, and you could give a quick synopsis, and we could vote on it.
All right.
Well, there needs to be fair discussion as well.
Start at number 1
Well,
and discuss it.
couldn't, because you wanted to review all the CCNRs anyway, because it's already after 9 o'clock. Couldn't we do it, add it to the special committee? It would start reviewing the CCNRs and getting them.
I would be absolutely in agreement with that. So with a new committee going through the CCRs, I can just give them all of this if they want that, and go through and make the changes. These were just changes that several people wanted to see in place because of the multiple law violations that were happening, and they wanted to make sure that the CCRs and bylaws just kept saying, you got to abide by law, you got to abide by law.
Okay,
So-
let me ask you a question. Let's cut to the chase here. What laws were being broken? Rules, CCR, whatever. What was not in accordance with that justified needing an attorney?
And by the way, we haven't seen that either.
Yes, you have.
She asked a question.
We haven't seen it.
So several things that were being violated. So we are on a conditional use permit for the state of Idaho and the Canyon County.
Who's we?
We are, all of us, all 30 lots. In that conditional use permit were conditions for approval that we have to abide by. One of those conditions for approval was that we abide by all federal, state, county, and local laws, rules, regulations, ordinances.
All right, now, what was being broken?
So several things. 30-30-505, 55-3204.
Sorry, 55-30 what?
55-3204, we already have all that. Title 22, Chapter 45, that is the right to farm law, which is in the conditional use permit as well. So the conditional use permit were rules that were being violated.
We do have a response from our attorney that conflicts with her opinion there.
The conditional use permit applies to the land.
Can you provide us a copy of that conditional permit, that we know
Did I
that
not
it's still
send that to
in
you?
effect?
Yes.
I would like a copy, in fact, send it out to everybody through Christina,
Right.
on all the laws that were broken in reference to the specific pieces in each title and chapter and what was broken and by who. Because we don't have that, we have just the continuance of, you guys are breaking laws, you're breaking laws with no backing up or reinforcement at all.
Yeah, 'cause we can throw that out all day long. I
Mhm.
want to know the facts. What was,
Okay.
what rule, what law was broken?
So
who
I will
broke it,
send
please?
out the conditional use permit information. It's like 40-some pages long. We discussed that along with well information. Mark gave me some good stuff on that.
You have it electronically though, right?
I do.
I believe there was, I don't know if there was a motion, but to create a CCR committee to review this type of stuff, could we revisit that?
There's no
And make a
motion, but you don't need one. The board can do that without it. The board can
Correct.
create that
Can create a
committee.
committee?
Yes,
And you've had that committee in the past.
we've had.
Sounds like we need to
Jennifer's the
get-
only one left on it, right?
No, that's the.
No.
She said,
Sorry,
ACC.
CCR committee, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if people could send that also to Christina, those that want to be part of the committee, that would be awesome, and who's ever voted into the next board,
At this point, without being, there's no way I could vote on this.
because there needs to be
I
help.
don't know enough, I have to have context. And CCRs, frankly, I've never seen the actual up-to-date ones. When I bought the house aren't even in effect. So I would really like to have a copy of whatever the heck they are.
You're the one guy.
You're the
I don't have an email for it.
I know,
One guy.
you will tell.
There you go.
I'll send you so much stuff you won't have any problem sleeping again.
Serious guys.
I'm gonna need some money.
Okay, so I guess, well, I don't know if there needs to be a motion or not on whether we vote on these, because Amy was presenting them to be voted on, but it sounds like we're defaulting to do a committee. So I'm not sure where to go from there.
So are we doing a committee, or is the next board doing a
The
committee?
next board should do it.
Okay.
Whoever you guys vote in, the next board should take care of that. I don't think that's something to take care of tonight.
And I have a proposal that I will send to the next board.
Will you be on the committee then?
How many can be on the committee?
It's
Doesn't matter.
many.
Everybody can be on it.
Yeah. Might be a good idea.
Too many
for
cooks in the
reference.
kitchen don't always help, though.
But if we don't want to be on the committee, to Darren's point, I think it'd be helpful, and I'm sorry, I don't have time to read a 40-page document. I know some people do, but maybe cliff notes for everybody else as far as what laws were broken.
Nice to
and what
highlight
we-
the
yeah,
specifics,
kinda
yes,
like the
please.
one-pager of bullets would be really helpful for, thank you, yeah.
For reference, everyone, when you purchased your home here, should have, within the title policy, a complete copy of the CCNRs that were in effect on the date that your property was.
Ours.
2002.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, we bought houses in
No, well,
The title company is not
Christina
required
has
to
them
give
all.
you a set of the covenants. They're
Yeah,
required
see
to make you
Christine
sign
for
5
it.
documents.
She
that
has it all.
exist.
When I moved in, I got 2012, and I moved in 2017, that's all I got.
I got my
So-
attorney.
May I see the folder?
It might not be against the rules. but- What's that?
We just want to see
Will do.
what law was broken, what rule was broken, who broke it, and why the hell we went to an attorney. That's all we want to know. We don't want to know all the other stuff.
So I think Darren's question is important. Do we need a motion to postpone the vote of the proposal?
No.
I second.
I don't think you need a motion for that. I've already said that I would pass it on to the next.
Well, it was on the agenda, which is why. It says voting on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, and a second by who?
withdraw the question.
Okay. Nominations. We have our nomination committee here. And I want to review the ballot. We're going to do it, not do it differently. We're going to do it by the bylaws, and I guess in the past we haven't, and I never saw it. But there is a section 4.5 in the bylaws that part of it reads, at each annual meeting of the corporation, new directors shall be elected by secret ballot by a majority of members present at such meeting. In the last few years, we haven't gone by majority, even with one vote. If you're only 3 people and they need 3 people, you're getting in. But this year, we are going to go by majority, which means majority of those present, plus the proxies that they have. So I didn't do a count on that. So what would majority be, Christina?
I think it should be, I think there's 20 between proxies and those in attendance, but I gotta confirm that.
Okay. So we need 11 if that's the case. But she'll figure that out. So
20, there's 26. When I first counted, I only counted those here.
okay. There are ballots, they're prepared. When we get to that point, you guys will come up to the table. The election committee will have you sign or initial that you received the ballot. You get a ballot for yourself, for your lot, and then if you have a proxy, it's actually on the roll call as well. And so make sure you guys get a second one, your ballot for that, and initial for that as well. There are only 5 seats, so we'd be voting on 5 seats. You don't have to.
There's not 5 seats.
Well, there's currently 5 seats.
There's currently 5 seats, but there's not 5 seats. You have to have a minimum of 3.
Correct.
But you have to have an odd number.
Correct. I was getting to that, yes. Okay. Well, then, maybe that's something we need. So I have on the ballot that you can only vote for 5. Unless we want 7 people on a board and have 25% of the members on board. So, but right now it shows you can only vote for 5, and if you vote more than 5, then your ballot is invalid. Is that being objected to?
I am objecting to that because it doesn't say that in the bylaws or the CCRs.
So are everybody's term up?
No, it's.
Every year.
Yes,
It gets
every year.
revoted.
So is everybody on the ballot that can be voted for, or is?
So right now on the ballot are those that were nominated or volunteered, minus 1, we missed Ron. So we have the incumbents, so Roxanne, Phyllis, myself, and Amy. We also have Wes Widener, and then Greg Schreiber and Gianni Romani, and then Ron Howard. At the point that Amy was going to introduce one of her proposals, which was that a board member could not also be on the ACC, that is something you were going to propose, correct? That went out to everybody that they saw. So I was going to.
I never proposed that. I just said
it went out to all the
objected to
members
that.
as a proposed amendment, that a board member.
Oh, that's right.
Cannot also be on the ACC. With that thought process, I don't believe that 2 people from the same household can be on the board with 1 mind and 2 votes. So right now on here is Amy and Wes both being on the board, and I disagree with that.
Okay.
It's no different. I was going to request an amendment to her proposal to add that in there. So I don't think any.
You can only have 1 vote per lot,
Now,
correct?
okay, so.
Well, that's for normal voting.
Yeah, that's.
There's nothing that says 2 people from the same household cannot be on the board. But what I'm suggesting is that it was already suggested that a board member should not be on the ACC as well. And even more so, I don't think 2 people from the same household, no matter what household, should be on the board having 2 votes from 1 household.
So the reason behind the proposal that a board member cannot also be on the ACC is that we have an appeal process for the member going through the ACC and then going to the board. If the same person on the ACC is also voting on the board, that's not a fair appeal process, and that gives a conflict of interest when you have somebody who maybe denied something and then goes to the board. They already have that mindset to them.
Hence, the same reason why there shouldn't be 2 people from the same household on the board, because there's a conflict.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Are we voting just on HOA today or ACC as well?
The ACC is appointed by the board. The bylaws say that in 10 days, the board is supposed to meet again. However, that conflicts with law because you have to have notice of no less than 10 days. So that was one of the things I wanted to.
The bylaws talks about having the meeting within 10 days after.
Yeah,
We've never followed that yet.
Yeah, so within 10 days, the board's supposed to meet in order to appoint an ACC, the new board. What, the ACC? Yes, the new board's effective immediately. However, the bylaws say that you have to do this meeting within 10 days, but the notice says no less than 10 days, so
The
there's a
next regular
conflict
board
like
meeting.
there.
So are there
So-
bylaws about two people from the same household being on the board?
No.
Is that reasonable?
Well,
I
it
don't think so.
depends. We don't agree on everything, so
Come on, you
which
got-
causes problems. So,
Sorry.
so basically, I don't know.
It's not like
It-
you just say you have to be down to what you equate anyway as one person.
Right,
I
we
don't
all,
see why we-
well, we all get votes, so I guess.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't vote for 5 people. That's not right.
So how many are you voting for?
Yes.
It
So
has to be
Do
an
we
odd.
want 7? Do we want 9? Do we want 13 on the board? Is that what we're saying? There's no limit to how
There-
many?
3 or 5, I think.
That's what I agree to, but
But that's not what it says in the CCRs and bylaws. So you
Well,
can
then-
vote for however many you want.
then we can have a motion to vote on that right now.
I motion that we have 3 or 5, no more than 5.
In order to change the bylaws, you need 75%.
It's not changing the bylaws.
It actually
It's not
is.
in the bylaws.
the-
It says minimum 3, it doesn't say maximum, so you can't have it both ways.
Did you second that?
Minimum is 3.
No, what you're
It doesn't have a
doing,
maximum.
what you're doing is changing the bylaws to create a maximum.
We're not
You're
saying, we're
limiting
not asking for the
your-
bylaws to be changed.
You're restricting people's voting to vote for 7. Let them vote. I mean, seriously. Just let them vote. If they don't want 5 or they don't want 7, then they won't vote for those people.
All right. So I ask that everybody, when they get their ballot, please write in Ron Howard. Because no matter what, he's part of the nominees. So under Gianna Romani, write in Ron Howard. Don't have to vote for Ron Howard, but you can please write him in. And then right now, then we'll take other nominations from the floor.
So
Can you clarify
before you
one
do
point?
that, we really do have a motion on the floor from Judy and a second by Lisa for
Okay.
3 or 5 member board.
Well, it has to be one or the other, I mean,
Right or wrong, it's on the floor.
Okay?
But that's a change to the,
It's not changing the, we're not
it
voting
is,
to
it's
change the bylaws.
it's a restriction.
if it's something that
I
determine every.
That's what you
every year.
decided last year, 3 to 5.
We have 5 now. Well,
And it was discussed and
It's always been
addressed
5 to
after
3,
the
5 to 3, yeah. But it has to be an odd
I
number.
motion that we have 5 for 5.
I second.
Any thirds? 4th.
I third, fourth,
You're willing to go with her 5.
So, yes.
That means we ought to bring it up for a vote.
Okay?
What, I'm
What's
sorry?
that?
He's saying to continue with the vote.
That means bring it up for the vote.
So we now have an amended motion on the floor from Judy and a second by Lisa for a 5-member board.
5 or less, right?
Nope, she said 5.
I said 5.
So there can't be 3?
So now you are.
Now that is changing the bylaws.
It is changing the bylaws.
That does change the
When you
bylaw.
limit the amount, you are changing
How many
it.
does the bylaw say?
At
Have to
least-
have 3.
It says at
Minimum
least 3.
Okay, I motion that we have 3 people on the gosh damn board and let's get this over with.
thank you.
Are we doing 3 to 5 or?
You can vote as many as you
I said-
want. It's
no,
your
because I
vote.
couldn't, because it was changing the bylaws.
So
how
the
can we,
top
how can we
5
vote? It's one or
5
the
vote
other.
getters would be the 5, or the top 3 vote getters would be.
Whoever
first-
gets 51%.
First of all, you need majority. So regardless of the number, there has to be a majority on that individual that gets voted. So if that individual doesn't get the majority of the votes of those present plus the proxies, they can't be on the board. If,
Nobody gets a majority.
then we re-vote, I guess.
Just agree that everybody vote for 5 people and let's get going.
Yeah.
Give me a motion, agree with it.
I'll vote for 5.
I did already.
I don't think it's clear. Of Appeal and he'll solve the problem. It's not a problem.
So again, remember, there's 1 ballot per lot. Just a reminder, there's 1 ballot per lot, plus your proxy if you have proxy, and then you get more than 1 ballot for your proxy.
Are you withdrawing your motion so we can move forward? Is that
I don't know
like, what are we doing here?
motion for. I've been told yes and no 15 times.
So I think to maybe make a slight clarification
Everybody.
and give you an example of what Darren said. you have to be elected by a majority of those present. So there's 26 people in attendance by person or proxy or homes, 26. So anybody who gets 14 or more votes is in the running.
Okay.
And of the running, you have to have a 3 or a 5 member odd number. So if 5 people have more than 14, those are the 5. If there's not, then you're going down to 3 or whatever that looks like.
And what you said is that if you don't put 5 names down there, then it doesn't count.
No, you can put 5 or less is what it is.
Okay.
Maximum of 5. We don't have to vote for 5, right?
Correct.
Nope.
You can vote for 0.
I didn't drop the cookies. I'm about to though.
So are you withdrawing your motion, so we're moving forward with?
Yeah.
The reality is if you vote for more than 5, you're gonna spread your votes.
Yep.
And you're not, you may have to do it again, because you need a majority.
5 or less.
Okay.
Are there any nominations
Withdraw your motion.
besides what's on here?
Thank you.
Any further nominations for Board of Directors?
I'll nominate my husband, since we're allowed to nominate spouses. I'll
Okay.
nominate my husband.
I'm forgetting his
Tom.
first name.
Tom Cagle.
You'll have to call and he has to accept.
Oh, he told me verbally.
Really? Is that really a reasonable thing to do? I'm sorry.
It's not. I don't think it's ethical.
No, I'm not, for or against anything, but there's, you board member 5 people.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 from the same household. Don't you think it's?
If there's only 3, and 2 of them are in the same household,
Right.
what's that?
What if we end up with 3 and 2 are from the same household? How about that?
I agree. I think she's trying to make a point.
I'm trying to make a point.
It's
It's not right.
Just one moment. We'll
It
get
should be
with it.
one person from each household.
we two disagree on everything, but I won't put the 2 of us, on.
I agree with you.
That's just how.
Did you still want to add? Do you still want to add
I
him?
don't know.
Um,
I'm not disagreeing with anybody either. I'll withdraw my name.
No, we'll switch.
Volunteer, that, but then you're voting as 2 votes, not 1 vote, right? Yeah.
No, you won't withdraw.
Okay.
I will.
Now we're hearing that either one of the Weiners wants
You
to
stay. withdraw
and they're arguing about who? Sorry, not arguing, but discussing.
Yes, we are.
I apologize.
Yes, we are. You stay. You stay. All right.
Okay, so between the Weiners, they've asked that Amy be removed from the ballot. So is that an agreement between you two? How do we do that, Christina?
I'm writing, Amy withdrew from.
Okay,
I
The
don't
nominations.
need his agreement.
well, as far as official records and
I
everything
have to
else.
feed him food. He'll agree with it.
So we're
you can
removing Tom Cagle.
you can remove my husband.
Okay, so when you receive your ballot, please write in Ron Howard. Please cross out Amy Widener. And that's what we'll have to vote on. There was no other nominations. So we
How
will,
many would I be on the ballot then?
that would be, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'd still be the 7. So we'd have Roxanne Smith, Phyllis Cagle, Darren Beatty, Wes Widener, Greg Schreiber, Gianni Romani, and Ron Howard. 7. Okay? Please come up to the table because you're going to have to initial.
We're both giving out ballots, but we have to sign.
Does she have your roll call?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we need.
Do you want to go ahead and join him, Christina, if you would?
Yeah, we need the ballots.
And you need the ballots.
I gotta get up and move on.
And it's 1 per.
Plus,
I'll write on your hand if you want.
plus the proxies. So you So the board collectively is going to need to make a vote for Doug. So Doug put either Gene or the board as his proxy.
So it'd have to be Jean because the board is not a voting class in membership. That was brought up to me by someone else. So Article 10.
To put his proxy.
To what?
Yeah, and the board of directors is not.
We're not, but he asked the people on the board to cast a vote for him.
He has to ask a person, not the board. So was it Jean?
Well, except that this proxy has been going out for many years, and it does give you a person or the HOA board of directors.
This does not override our CCRs. And this was a very big concern by another member. On Article 10, voting class of members, the board is not a voting class of members, so you cannot give them voting rights.
But we are as people.
Your name would have to be on there. Your name would have to be on there
names are
as
on
a
there. It's the
person.
board of directors to
No,
act.
the board of directors is not
It
a
says it right here, to
person.
act.
This is not a legal document. This does not.
Well, then why do we send them out?
I don't know who wrote this, but this was brought to my attention when the proxy went out, and they're like, wait a second, the board's not a voting
Don't forget
class.
to add Ron Howard.
Who brought that to you? I've been sending this proxy out for 10 years.
Who made this?
I don't even remember. It was 10 years ago.
Well,
But the
whoever
reality
made
is,
this.
if you're saying it's not legal, then none of the proxies
No.
are legal.
This is not
Carried away, the
legal.
lawyer
This
said
is,
that the board is not a voting member. You're not a member. You have to be
It's
a
not a
Class
person then. It's a lawyer who said that.
Yeah,
That's what
lawyers
he
no,
said.
a person in the community brought it to my attention, and, but the board is not. The Gene is, but the board is not. Darren is, but the board is not.
Oh, you're proxying for people? Yeah. So go ahead and give it a, how many are here actually? You gotta sign you and then your proxy. So sign, here's one, so you give them one so far. There's Ron. Don't forget to add your name, Ron. When you're done, just hold a cup.
It's in the glass.
I need wine. I have hot water in there.
I need hot water. You and Kim.
I tried to get hot water for you.
Some have. When the well.
All right, face down. I need to. Yeah. Oh, wait, you have your husband. Yeah, hold it. Right here. I think you have. Good. Yeah, you have. I'm pregnant wife. Now you can have a paper. Yeah, we kind of dropped the ball and signing back in. People just dropped it. But we're gonna count
Well, thank you, appreciate that. This is not the first time they've done this. It's repetitive. But I'm a strong person to get through it. You should come by and see what's going on in the greenhouse, the high tunnel.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff growing still. It is amazing.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know what I have to do every day now?
What?
No, I'm covering it and
and then uncovering it.
and uncovering it every day. And that process, if I were to do it all by myself, it's a good 40 minutes.
Wow. So, are you using like a 0.9 cover? What kind of cover are you using?
Actually, I got it from a friend.
Perfect. So you don't need to talk. Okay, great, thank you.
So where did you guys go?
Go where?
The trip you made with all the pictures.
Oh, we went to Park City. Actually, we have a timeshare there, believe it or not.
Nice.
And we've never been. So we just want to check it out.
So you have a timeshare and you've never been?
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. And then we love the place. And plus Salt Lake. Here. We'll show you a photo, then you will know kind of. So that's what I'm doing. Because
yeah, that's a good cover. That stuff right there, I bought a few of those, so that's what I'm using too.
And then it seems to be very thick, and it's used. But my friend gave it to me. He already did it like on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some like the width of the bed is PVC and
Oh, the bending of the pipes,
so it's
rebar.
No,
not rebar.
No. I mean the edge here.
All of those little things right there, and you just tie it in and zip tie it.
No. That's not what I mean. So this whole thing right here. Can you see that raw thing? Okay. Yeah. So basically, you put like 2 of those in, and then so you can just
roll it
fold
out.
Yeah. Roll it in and out. Okay. And that's a basic clip, but it's a pretty big clip. Okay. So I have this much I'm doing. 1, 2. That's a lot. That's a lot, actually. But then, because I'm doing, experiments, and some of them work and some of them don't work, so they're not 100%. And
So
then
you're
I'm doing a
keeping
lot
track on those, and then you're not going to do them next year?
well, and then I also leave some outside,
to
cover,
see
and see how long they can survive, right? But then they're all leafy veggies, and if you like that kind of thing, well, I mean, a lot of them are Asian veggies.
Do you like spinach?
Yes.
So I have 2 huge bags of spinach seeds. Tons. I'll get you some seeds.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, there's 2 different varieties. I don't remember what they were called. One's Bloomdale, and the other one is.
I had that one before. Yeah. Well,
did you like it, Bloomdale?
In California, spinach never done well for me, so I couldn't really.
Because you need it.
Yeah. He's here.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I know. So he's helping me, planting more roses and. Are you cold here?
Yes.
Put on your stuff.
So where'd you get the peonies?
Oh, it's actually a group buy. We group buy and got it from outside the United States. Yeah, because there is no tree peonies here really. Yeah, and then when
I looked them up.
Well, no, it's actually a friend who told me.
No, I typed it in. I looked it up.
Yeah,
and you can't find it.
Yeah, and then if you can find them, they're easily $80, a piece, and then you may have 5 varieties only. I had 150 to choose from. Yeah, but then I don't know whether they will really work, and we're just going to try. Yeah. I failed so many times this year. It teaches me to be very humble.
Well, you did a lot of good stuff too. A lot of successes that you didn't know you were going to do. The sticks on the ground that started growing roots. That was cool.
Right. Well, yeah. So, yeah. That's lovely. I made 15 plants.
Hot water? Oh, thank you.
So the 15 plants, 15 pots, and then I just cut 2 off, and then so now instead of one plant, I have 3.
Do you have elderberry?
I have 2.
Okay. Those can be propagated as well. So you just cut them and stick them in the ground.
And so do you have goji berries?
I have one goji berry. That thing is so prolific. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
up in my chicken feeder.
Oh, okay. You need to move here. It's too cold there.
Yeah, it is.
Move here. Oh, this is mine. I'm glad that I brought my hot drink.
26 valves we find out.
Ian becomes a cookie man.